So, a little backstory. I dated this girl when I was in my senior year of high school. I'm 20 now, so it was a couple of years ago, but still pretty fresh in my mind. For privacy's sake, I won't use her real name, so I'll refer to her as Grace. Grace and I met through our job, which I now know is never ideal. Before we started dating though, there were red flags that I simply shouldn't have ignored. For instance, she would come to our place of work for hours just to watch me work, and I would catch her staring at me every once in a while. Besides that, a few months into our relationship, things started getting pretty toxic. I would constantly feel suffocated. I had no time for my hobbies, friends, or even myself. She was the type of girl to ask where I was, who I was with, and what I was doing 24/7. If I didn't answer a phone call, it would end up being 25 missed calls and a ton of text messages that would ultimately turn into a fight. Even if I was just using the bathroom, it got to the point where I couldn't play games with my friends without it causing a fight. So, eventually, we broke up, but not without her doing everything in her power to convince me to come back. She would wait outside my place of work for me to get off, and when I would walk outside, she would follow me to my car, block me from getting in, and try to reason with me. I got sick of it. One night, she came and wanted to talk, so I decided to talk with her, not really knowing what else to do. Grace was also trying to sue me for something extremely petty that I'd rather not get into, and would use this as a scare tactic to make me talk to her. So, anyway, I sat down in her car. She was saying the same old stuff I'd heard hundreds of times. I told her I was done talking, but at that time her dad called her. She used this as a threat and told me, "If you don't sit here and talk to me, I'll have him sue you now." And to that, I said, "Fuck this," and attempted to get out of her car. The door was locked though, so as I was unlocking it, she grabbed hold of my arm and dug her nails into my skin. I looked at her and was genuinely shocked because she'd only been verbally abusive before, never physical. I had also never seen that look on her face. It was pure malice, and I won't lie, I was pretty unnerved. I myself am a pretty tall guy, and she was very small, so I knew I could overpower her if I had to. I swung her door open and tried to step away, but she was holding me extremely tight. I told her to let me go, but she wouldn't budge. I kept pulling on my arm, trying to get away, but she would not move an inch. At this point, my skin was starting to peel, so I made a judgment call and pulled her toward me onto the passenger seat, which gave me enough time to get away and into my car. I drove home faster than I ever had, and I really wish I could say I'd ended there, but of course, it doesn't. Unfortunately for me, Grace and I are practically neighbors, and she lives a couple blocks away. That night while I was playing video games, I heard a car outside, but I kind of chalked it up to my game as I remember playing GTA 5 that night. I had also smoked a bit of weed, so I figured that would have made the car noises louder. A little bit of time passed, and as I was playing, I heard a tap on my window. I thought I was being paranoid, as weed can tend to make me a little on edge, sometimes, especially after what had happened. But that thought quickly faded after I heard another tap and a female voice saying my name. I knew it was Grace, and I started to panic. My window doesn't have the best blinds, so I knew she could see me. I didn't want to open my window because at this point I knew she could be potentially dangerous. I pretended not to hear her, hoping that she would go away. But of course, she didn't, because after a minute or two, she started banging on my window. Her tone changed from soft and apologetic to more aggressive and angry. I couldn't make out much of what she was saying, but it was something along the lines of, "You can't do this to me, you're an asshole," that sort of deal. I had to do something. I didn't want to waste the cops' time, but now, looking back at it, I absolutely should have called them. I made the stupid decision to open my door and ask what she wanted. I asked why she was here and why she couldn't just leave me alone. Her tone changed once again to soft-spoken, and she was asking for her sweater back. I yelled at her and told her she can't just be at my window at 2 o'clock in the morning asking for a sweater. And then I said if she didn't leave my property, I'd be calling the cops. At this point, she blew up screaming at me while starting to sob uncontrollably. For a moment, I actually felt bad, but then my heart dropped as I saw something that still sends shivers down my spine to this day. She wasn't alone. To the left of her was a thick tree in our front yard, and peeking out from it was a hooded figure. She saw me move to focus to the tree, and she knew I saw them. She reached for my arm and grabbed me. and as she did this, I saw the person run out from behind the tree, but I couldn't make out any facial features. It didn't matter because they were sprinting toward my window. In that moment, my fight or flight kicked in and I slammed my window shut on Greg's arm. She screamed out in pain and pulled it back. I slammed it shut and locked it just before the other person reached my window. My heart was racing and it felt like I couldn't breathe. I showed them my phone, dialing 911, and at that they hurried back to her car, started it, and drove away. I was in total shock, not even comprehending what had just happened. They sent an officer to my house. He took down my story and told me they'd call if anything came of it. Of course, there wasn't much they could do as there was no evidence anything happened like most 911 calls. As far as I know, she never had any legal action taken against her. As for what they wanted with me, she's also gotten people jumped and robbed before, so I wouldn't doubt they wanted to do that, or possibly worse. I'm just extremely lucky that the person hiding behind the tree decided to peek out.